So your power and energy. So your P is basically equal to W per second, or your work per second. So I may denote this as your joules per second, which is the unit of your energy per time. So energy over time. Take note that your P in is greater than P out. So let's say that you have a circuit, positive, negative circuit, and then you have resistors in DC, yan. And then we have an output. Let's say that this will be our P out. So this is your P in. Take note that your source must be always greater than your P out. So let's say you have your PR1, PR2, and PR3. Based on what you call the conservation of energy, we have P in is equal to P out plus PR1 plus PR2 plus PR3, which is equal to, let's say, or let's denote these terms as your P total. So therefore, I may say that my P in is equal to P total. So if you will get the summation of your P, so summation of P, we have P in minus PT is equal to 0. Okay? So we have your passive sign convention. When you talk about passive sign convention, this is actually your conventional flow of current. Conventional. Which means that your conventional flow of current means that if you have a circuit, let's say positive and negative circuit, let's assume that all resistors, all passive elements, kung walang sign convention na yan, we will assume that these are all positive. Positive lahat papasok. So pag if you are created a loop here, you will have a positive sign convention. Kung saan papasok yung arrow na to, yun yung magiging sign mo. So this one, your arrow is entering the negative of your source. And then it is entering the positive of your resistance, positive of your resistance, positive of your resistance. Therefore, if you are getting the passive sign convention, letting this will be your direction of your current, so we'll have negative V1 or your V total plus V of your resistor plus V of your resistor 2 plus V of your resistor 3. So therefore, our V total is equal to VR1 plus VR2 plus VR3. Okay? This will be further elaborated in your week 4. So, please review your lesson because there will be quizzes. Next is that the power is a time quantity and it's called instantaneous power. The power absorbed or supplied by an element is the product of the voltage across the element and the current through it. So we have two scenarios. We have our scenario 1 in the figure 1 and scenario 2 at figure 2. So we have the scenarios are talking about the possible power of your load. Okay? So, our source has your positive and negative signs. We also have negative and positive signs at figure 1. Notice the direction of your current. Your direction of your current is it is going out the negative or the positive. Going out the positive, entering to the negative. Which means that if your current enters the negative sign of your 4 volts, you have a value equal to V is equal to negative 4. What is the value of my current then, sir? The value of your current is that you assume that it is this current will be the direction of your current. It is going to the negative of your 4 volts. So therefore, it is I equals positive 3. Right? Therefore, the power is equal to 12 volts. Negative 12 volts. Next is your convention to this figure. So, why is it that they are similar? So, take note that as I have said in our first figure, in figure 1, our first scenario in figure 1, so you have our 3 ampere. Your 3 ampere, this will be your direction of your current. So, going to your left. So, if your current is your direction, this will be positive again. And then, it is entering the negative of your 4 volts. Okay? So, it is entering the negative of your 4 volts. We have 3 ampere. Okay, papasok yan. Negative 4. Negative 4 multiplied by our positive 3. It is equal to your power. So, power is equal to negative 12 watts. So, take note that this is the terminals of your resistor o of your load. Ito yung terminals sa mga loads nyo. Kaya, huwag kayo malito kung mag-iiba yung direction ng current nyo. Take note, the direction of your current can be your assumption later on if you are solving any problems. Okay? In figure 2, we have 3 ampere going to the left. So, in this scenario, mapapansin nyo parehas sila ng scenario 2 ng figure 1 sa scenario 1 ng figure 2. They are the same current direction. But, take note of the sign of your source, which is positive. Sign of your terminal, which is positive. Okay? Terminal yung tamang term doon. So, we have positive 4 volts. Positive 4 volts is equal to your P multiplied by 3 ampere. So, therefore, it is equal to 12 watts. Positive 12 watts. Assumption of your current is that it is positive. Assumption, it is entering the 4 volts. Okay? How about if kinontra mo yan? This is your assumption, but this is my assumption. But the current is going to this direction. Kinontra ko siya. So, take note, napapasok siya sa negative 4. So, pag kinontra mo to, papasok siya sa negative 4. But you have already established a current which is going to the left, which is equal to positive 3 ampere. Pag kinontra mo siya, so therefore, this assumption is equal to assumption is equal to negative of 3 ampere. So therefore, multiplied by negative of 3 ampere, you will have a value of your power is equal to 12 watts. Hindi magbabago yan, guys. As long as pag alam mong kinontra mo yung current, ine-negative mo siya. But if you are going with the flow of the current, as I have said, this will be your assumption, you are going with the flow. That is already your positive current. But take note na pag magbabago yung current mo, magbabago yung direction ng current mo, you should take the negative sign if there is already established direction. Pero pag wala pa, therefore you may assume that this will be your positive. But take note, pag wala pang establish, wherein kinukuha mo pala yung tanong ng current. Okay? Your 4 volts is already, pag nasa taas na yung positive at negative niyan, yan na yun. Hindi mo na siya mapapalitan. You may assume the direction of your current. You may also assume the direction of your voltage, but probably your voltage is already established in the problems. So, yung pwede mo lang baliktarin yung direction is your current. Next, in scenario 2 at figure 2 is that your 3 ampere is going out the negative sign. It is going to the right. So, this scenario is similar to the direction of this scenario. But the problem is that your 3 ampere, okay, let's assume that this will be your current direction from left to right. So, yung negative 3 mo, yung positive 3 mo, so hindi na ako magbabago ng direction, hindi ko na siya babaliktarin. So, I may assume that this will be positive 3. Okay? So, it will enter your positive 4 volts. Right? So, as it is entering the positive 4 volts, therefore, I may say that my power is equal to positive 3, which is my assumption of my current, hindi ko na pinalitan, multiplied by positive 4 because it is entering your 4 volts. Take note that your passive sign convention is following the movement of your positive or your proton. Positive charge, okay? Wherein, it is called your conventional flow, okay? So, we have 12 volts. How about, sir, pag binaliktad ko pa yung current ko? So, how about if I would like to get the power using this current? Dito ako papasok sa negative sign. So, you have already a predetermined current which is equal to 3 ampere. So, I may say that assumption, kinontra ko siya, I assume, is equal to, kinontra ko yung 3 ampere ko, we have negative 3 ampere multiplied by kung saan papasok ito. So, we have positive 4 volts. Negative 4 volts. So, therefore, mapapansin nyo na parehas lang sila ng sagot. 12 watts. Okay? So, in our scenarios, I would like you to analyze that your positive 4 volts and negative 4 volts will be your sources. Let's assume that they will not be your terminals. Okay? Let's say this will be your source. Okay, source yan. And then source to. source. Yan. So, how will you solve this one? This will give you an observation that your positive 4, since it is in parallel with this terminal, I may say that this is also positive negative V. 4 volts. This is a property of parallel elements. If a voltage source is in parallel with a load, that is already its voltage. Okay, because the parallel voltage is that V1 is equal to V2 is equal to Vt, and it is equal to Vn. Okay, so this is also equal to negative 4 volts. So we have positive 4 volts and negative 4 volts. Okay, so what is the power of our terminal then? So if you assume that this will be your scenario 1, that this will be a voltage source, I may say that our observations will be, we have negative 3 entering the positive terminal of our 4 volts. So therefore, we have positive 3 ampere. So, in-assume na natin yung direction ng current is with the flow of the current, right? Positive 3 ampere, pumasok sa positive 4 volts. So, therefore, our power is equal to 12 watts. This is absorbing. Tama ba? Next is that we have your 3 ampere. So, if I will follow the direction of my 3 ampere, I may say that it is going. So, wag yun ilalagay itong negative 4 volts na to, because that will be our P in. Okay? So, this is our P out or your P at 4V. Sabihin natin R to. R. Take note na ang P of your in is equal to, pumasok sa negative 4 volts multiplied by your, with the flow of current, positive pa rin yan, 3 ampere. So, we have negative 12 watts. So, if you get the summation of our P in, of our power, which is equal to P in plus PR, we have 0. Okay? Summation of power. In our next scenario, in figure 1, is that your 3 amperes is entering the negative terminal of your load. Okay? So, take note that in this example, I am already integrating that there is that your 4 volts is a source, not a terminal. In our first scenario, or in our first explanation, your 4 volts is the terminal voltage. Okay? So, if you have a positive 3 ampere, so I will assume that this will be the current direction, positive 3 ampere. So, I is equal to positive 3 ampere. It is entering to a negative of V. So, V is equal to VR. Let's say this will be your R. Is equal to negative of your negative 4 plus your assumed current, which is multiplied by your assumed current, which is equal to 3 ampere later on for the power. So, itong VR muna, your VR is equal to negative multiplied by negative is positive. So, therefore, my power at my R is equal to 4 multiplied by 3, which is equal to 12 watts. And then, your P source is that your 3 ampere is entering the negative of your 4 volts. So, negative 4 volts multiplied by the assumed current, which is positive 3 ampere. So, take note, pag ito yung inassume yung direction, kung ano yung assumption nyo ng direction ng current, that is positive. Pag reverse siya, that is negative. Okay? So, we have, let's say, para hindi kayo malito, AB na lang to. Your I, BA is equal to negative of your I, AB. Okay? Para mas maganda palang tignan yun. So, we have negative 4 multiplied by 3, we have 12 watts. The summation of our P in, of our P is equal to P in plus PR. But our P in is equal to negative 12 and our PR is equal to positive 12. Therefore, our summation of P0. So, this indicates the summation of energy. Kung ano linabas mo, dapat dun yung ano yung pinasok mo, yun din yung lalabas. But, if you are getting the output power, it is always lesser than your P in because of what you call the losses in the circuit, and these are your other resistors which is not a load. Okay? So, as you can see, this explanation is based on this scenario. So, you can see the figure 1 shows the different scenarios on the elements that absorb the power. Take note, assuming that your 4 volts is a source. Okay? Next is your 3 ampere. Right? So, we have your negative, your 3 ampere. So, the direction of your current is, let's say, A, B. Yan. Your direction of your current is I, B, A. Right? Alright. Diba? Walang sumasagot. Nakakamiss naman na may sumagot, guys. Lagi na lang walang sumasagot. So, we have IBA. Your IBA is equal to 3 ampere. Which means that your IBA is equal to positive 3 ampere. Your VAB at your R is equal to positive 4. Alright? So, we have 4 volts, pumasok yung 3 ampere mo sa negative sign ng VAB mo. We have negative 4 volts multiplied by our positive 3 ampere. Therefore, our P is equal to negative 12 watts. Okay? That is our PR. PR yan. Okay? Next is our Pin, which is your positive 4 volts multiplied by positive 3 ampere, which is equal to 12 watts. So, if you add the two, we have a value equal to 0. Right? That is also the case in our figure 2. So, we have our PR. PR is that, let's say this will be your direction AB. My IAB is equal to positive 3, which is equal to the negative of IBA. So, tignan mo, ito no, pag iniiba ko yung direction nito, nagiging negative siya, IBA. Positive of IBA is equal to negative of IAB. So, nagiging negative siya. Nare-reverse mo kasi yung direction. Pag reverse mo yung direction ng current na to, i-reverse mo yung sign mo. Pag kinontra mo tong established direction ng current na to, dapat i-negative mo yung sign mo katulad dito. Okay? Negative of IBA. Bakit siya negative of IBA? Kasi yung established direction ko is your IAB. Going from A to B. Pag gumawa ko ng current na going from B to A is that kukontrahin ko to. So, maging negative siya. So, we have, that is the law of your charges. So, IAB is equal to 3. And then take note that this is already your negative and positive 4 volts. Sir, bakit sinasabi mo lagi na pumapasok sa negative pag sa R yung pinapasukan niya? So, take note, assume that your R is always positive. Okay? Sa scenario na kasi dito sa mga examples na to is that our V is given, which is indicated by our voltage source kasi nga nakaparallel siya. Okay? So, therefore, I may say that your power is equal to your positive 3 ampere multiplied by your, saan ba papasok to? Negative 4 volts. Papasok yan sa negative 4 volts natin. Negative 4 volts. So, therefore, we have negative 12 watts at your PR. Your Pin, therefore, is equal to, so assuming pa rin ito yung current natin, hindi natin siya kinontra, we have positive 3 ampere multiplied by our positive 4 volts, which is equal to 12 watts. 12 watts. Yan. So, getting the summation of our P, we have PR plus Pin, which is equal to negative 12 watts plus 12 watts, which is equal to 0. So, okay na? So, pag may tanong kayo, just feel free to ask question. So, thank you.